So this is Bob. Bob has been coming to my healthy posture classes for how long, Bob?
Just about 10 months, not quite.
Okay. And you used to be a bodybuilder, right?
Years ago.
Okay. And you have a disease of some sort?
I have too much calcium in my blood. So what it does, it just deposits it on all my bones. So I have an artificial knee. They had to do some work, as I told you the last time, they had to do some work on my back. Put bolts in and titanium rods to clean up the vertebrae to get all the calcium off. It worked on my shoulders, my wrists, my hands, pretty much every part of me.
How many surgeries have you had, Bob?
I quit counting at 33, and
Really?
it's got to be over 40 now. It's got to be.
In what time frame were these? 10
in
years?
about 30 years.
30 years. 30 years, 30
25,
surgeries, 30 years,
yeah.
something like that.
Something
Okay.
like that.
And you've been on painkillers.
Was on painkillers for 15 years. For 10 of those years, I would just read or lay down, watch TV, sit in a chair. I couldn't do anything physical at all. So for 10 years, I was pretty much nothing, just a couch potato. I started coming to the class, and the first thing I noticed is the pain was starting to become less. So I decided on my own that I would cut all pain medications out. So what I did is the first week I cut it in half, and I went a week. Then I cut it in half again and went a week. And I cut it in half again, went a week. And by the fourth week, I stopped taking everything. There was nothing, no more painkillers in my system whatsoever.
Wow.
Wow.
And this was after 3 weeks of the class, after you got your modifications.
Right. And I have to tell you, the first time I came here, I tried to do the full class without talking to you, which was a pretty stupid thing to do. And it took me probably 2 weeks to walk again, upright. So the second time I came back, you came right over and said, now I noticed you were here a while ago and then you've taken a couple weeks off. What happened? So I had to tell you that I have these problems, my knees, my back, my shoulders. And you're like, well, why didn't you tell me? Well, I didn't know. So the big thing is don't keep any secrets, share. So you came up with all these different modifications for me to do. I still do some of them. I use the chair now for about 5% of your class, and that's it. The rest of the time, I'm either on my back or doing stuff on. So the modifications have really worked out. But it was stupid of me to come and not even talk to you. I thought, well, I'm an ex-bodybuilder. It's been a while, but I can do this. And I found out quickly that I couldn't do your class without help.
Well, the good thing is that you came back again, that you didn't give up.
That's right.
That you said, what should I do now?
Next.
And then we got you your modifications.
Right.
And then you started graduating out of some of those modifications.
Right.
And
even now, I still do some modifications. But most of the stuff I do is the same thing that the class does.
And what did the doctors tell you about your life?
Well, back originally, they said, you're going to be in a wheelchair by the time you're 60. I'm 61 now. Get used to it. There's nothing we can do for you. It's a disease that there is no cure for. I didn't accept that. For 10 years I did. And I thought, no, that's not me. So I came here, well, they did some work on me, and they said I should do a core strengthening class. What's that? I bodybuilded for years, but I had no idea what a core training class was. And I'm thinking, wow, it can't be anything too serious. That's when they told me about your class, and actually I have a sister-in-law that comes to your class too, and she told me. So like I said, I tried to do the first one on my own, and it didn't work. Even now, even after they worked on my back, and that's what I'm holding here, I'd like to show.
Want to back up for just a moment. They told you you'd never touch your toes.
They told me that I would never be able to touch my toes.
And?
That I probably would never be able to look over my shoulder like...
They said he'd never be able to do these things right here.
Right.
That he's doing right now.
Right. They said I'd never be able to do this.
Full range of motion, yep.
And they said, no matter what, you will never be able to do this.
So I want to remind you all, don't accept what they tell you because they may be wrong. Don't let them take away your hope.
Or they're looking at the average. You
Right.
gotta push. You gotta work. It's not easy. It hurt in the beginning, I have to tell you. But if you don't stop, you just gotta keep going. You gotta have faith that it's going to happen, and it will.
And then
It happens. One of the things that you helped me with is you told me you have to have a mantra. And my mantra was, I'm a whole person, and there's a miraculous healing going on within me. Within 3 months, these bolts started to back out of my spine, and they touched a nerve, and that kind of killed the leg, and the doctors had to go back in and remove them. And I asked them, how many patients that you put these bolts and rods and wires in, how many have them removed? And they said less than 1%. So I said, can you tell me why it happened? And they said, your body rejected it. We don't know why. I do. I wanted them out, and they're out. You have to be positive about what's going on. You have to think and know and just tell yourself and everyone else, I'm doing good, I feel great. I'm a perfect person. There's a miraculous health, cure going on inside, and sure enough, I backed these out. I don't know, what did it? I'm telling you.
Well, muscles.
Yeah.
I mean, when those bolts are in the spine and they're there to hold it in place, and your muscles start getting engaged and become conditioned again, they're gonna create the space, and it only makes sense. So that's what the doctor said to you when you went to him. What'd he say? Said you had a screw loose?
Yeah. So the doctor told me, I hate to tell you that, because they ran all these tests to find out why my leg went numb. He goes, I hate to tell you this, but you have a screw loose. And I'm like, no kidding, I've been told that my whole life. But just so you know, some of the bolts that they put in, 5 of them are 2 inches long.
Look at those. Lime green.
Lime green. And the other 5 were 1.5 inches long, and they're brown.
Okay.
Then the 2 titanium rods were about 7 inches, and then there was each, and then there was connective hardware that kind of held everything together. So I asked him when I went in there to have them removed, what do people do? I mean, what do you do with these things? He goes, well, we can't reuse them, we throw them away unless you want them. And I said, well, actually, yeah, I would like them. So I brought them home, and my wife made a wind chime.
A good use for them now.
Yeah, it's a better use than before. It's kind of an expensive wind chime, and it does, in the breeze, it does dingle-dingle, you'll make the noise. So, but now that the bolts are gone and the rods are gone, and I'm back to class, it's amazing how much even more mobility than I had before. Before there was always a little hook, a little catch. Now I feel good. I'm moving better than I was before. I'm sleeping at night, a lot better than I used to. And I gotta say, every time I go back to the doctor's office, they say, "What are you doing?" And I give them Lorri's cards, and you gotta take this class. You gotta go. Send your patients to this. I'm telling you, it works wonders. I've never experienced, and even when I was bodybuilding, I never felt like this. I never went from being in bed or being in a chair to being active, being physical again. I've lost about 50 pounds, dropped 4 inches. I went from a 38 to a 34, and I feel good. My knees and the rest of my joints don't bother me as much. The class does not only core work, but it also stretches. Of course, it works your hips and it works your knees and your shoulders, and with all those things going, I don't lock up anymore, and I feel like a kid. I feel like I have my life back.
Excellent.
And there's only one person I can thank for that, and that's you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much for being such an inspiration, for sharing your story with others, because I know it's going to make a big difference. And thank you for stepping up and being who you are.
And if anybody has any questions, once you've seen this, you want to talk to me, please go right ahead. I'm not shy. No. I tend to talk more than I should probably, but I'm certainly not shy, and I'll tell everybody and anybody, this is what you have to do.
Nothing wrong with sharing the good news, right?
That's right, absolutely.
Hopefully we're sharing more good news than bad news, huh?
Right.
Very good. Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you, Lorri.